What's up, everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six, number 88. I'm Rob. This is the Whiskey of the Year. So, I want to talk really quickly about how I came to the conclusion of what would be my top 6 whiskeys of the year, because this is Whiskey in the Six, so I figured why not add one more to the usual top 5 whiskeys of the year, or top 5 of whatever most people do. Basically, the criteria goes like this: how the whiskey smells, how it tastes, is it non-chill filtered, does it have added color, how much the whiskey costs, because that's a factor for everybody. How much whiskey costs determines whether or not we can buy certain things. So that's a factor, unfortunately. And then just various elements to it, like what the burn is like on the whiskey, both on the nose or on the taste. What kind of casks were used, and so on and so forth. Okay, so obviously I take a liking to whiskeys that are non-chill filtered, no added color. That's what I prefer. That's what I look for when I buy a whiskey. But at the end of the day, taste is king. So there may or may not be some whiskeys on my list that people disagree with. We're gonna find out. Before we go through my actual top 6 list, I wanna do some honorable mentions. Some that were really close to making the list but didn't get to make the list. Basically, I wanna accredit the entire Glengoyne line. The 12, the 15, the 18, the 21, and 25. I reviewed all 5 of those. They're incredible whiskeys. I highly recommend them. If I did a top 10, they might all have been on the top 10. All right, but I didn't do a top 10. I did a top 6. So I wanted to mention Glengoyne as a distillery as a whole. They're fantastic, and I really enjoyed them throughout the year. Glendronach, basically everything, same idea. Fantastic distillery, fantastic whiskey from the 12 to the 21 that I've tasted. Glenfiddich Master Malt Master Edition. All right, really good stuff. Yes, there's added color to it. Yes, it's chill filtered, but it's fantastic. And for the price, there's not too many whiskeys that are better. Okay, so I highly recommend that. There's not too many out there. It's limited now because it won't be made anymore. But if you can get your hands on a bottle, I highly recommend you do so. I also want to give some recognition to the Balvenie Tun. Fantastic dram. It didn't make my top 6 list. It was very close to making my top 6 list. If I had a little bit more, possibly I could have justified doing it. I just didn't have enough to actually warrant putting it on my top 6 list. I don't know if that's fair or not, but I tried to taste whiskeys a few times to give it a fair shake. And unfortunately, when I do have the samples and I do reviews on the samples, I can tell you how it tastes in the moment, but going back to it, often there's a difference than the first or second experience. So I didn't put too many whiskeys that I had samples of on my list. All right. You guys can comment below on how you feel about that, but that's just the way I decided to grade this year. All right. Anyway, without further ado, let's start with my number 6 whiskey of the year. All right. It is the Dalmore 18-year-old. Okay. Dalmore 18-year-old is priced at $200 in Ontario. That seems to be roughly the going price, anywhere from $150 to $200 for an 18-year-old Scotch. It's bottled at 43%. It has added color. It is chill filtered. That's why it's at number 6, because if it didn't have added color, if it wasn't chill filtered, it would be probably closer to number 1 for me. It is fantastic stuff. Anyone that I've allowed to try it, that's come over my house, I poured a dram for, absolutely loves it. It smells incredible. It has 0 alcohol burn. It is really tasty stuff. If you don't mind your whiskey being chill filtered with added color, it's expensive at $200, but it's not ridiculous compared to other 18-year-olds, like, for example, Macallan. Macallan is going for at least $50 or $60 more than this, for Canadians anyway, and it's not even available, for that matter, in Canada. But actually, Macallan 18-year-old is one of my honorable mentions, just because I didn't have a full bottle to sample. I do have a full bottle, but I didn't open it. So it is one of my honorable mentions, but this beats it, in my opinion. Okay, so Dalmore 18-year-old is my number 6. Number 5, Highland region as well, Tomatin 18-year-old. This one is chill filtered. It is not chill filtered. It does not have added color. It is a fantastic dram. The reason why it dropped a little bit on my list, not that I need to justify each one, but for me, it just burnt a little too much. For some people, they look for that strength, they look for that alcohol burn, but I feel at 18 years old, it should burn a little bit less than it does, and that's why it dropped a little bit in my books. But still, at $145, you cannot go wrong. This is fantastic stuff. It's probably cheaper in the States. It's probably much cheaper in the UK. I highly recommend Tomatin as a whole. They get a shout out from me as well, because all year I've been tasting great things from them. So that is my number 5. Number 4, Old Pulteney 17-year-old. Okay. In 2017, I plan to do a whole series of 17-year-old whiskeys. I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video. But Old Pulteney 17-year-old surpassed my expectations. I can't wait to try the 21-year-old. I regret not picking it up when I had the opportunity. I picked this one up, the 17-year-old, from the UK because it was not available in Ontario, and it hasn't been available in Ontario for years. So really, really good stuff. It's got a nice coastal influence on it, which is rare for a Highland Scotch. Because it's so close to the coast, it has that saltiness that you look for in a coastal Scotch, and it's fantastic stuff. I highly, highly recommend it. Number 3, this might be a surprise for some people that it's not a little higher, but Glendronach 15-year-old. Okay. My top 3 were really hard to choose from. I had to go by just overall utility when it came to like my first experience, and throughout drinking the bottle, how much I liked that bottle. This is amazing stuff. I tried the 2013 edition, which technically rings in around 18 years old. I'm sure the 2015 edition that I have sealed over here is even better. That might have swayed me to put this at number 1, but for now, the Glendronach Revival 15-year-old is my number 3 whiskey of the year. Fantastic stuff. There's not much negative to say about it. Number 2, this will also be a surprise for some, just because of how much I've raved about it all year. Glengoyne 18-year-old. Okay, Glengoyne 18-year-old is fantastic stuff. The only reason this isn't in my number 1 spot is because it's chill filtered. It does have natural color, all right? It is fantastic. It's about $170 to $180 in Ontario. Elsewhere, it's cheaper. I highly recommend anything from Glengoyne. They are fantastic. It is my number 2 whiskey of the year. Fantastic stuff. Go pick up a bottle. Lastly, my number 1. I'm just going to reveal it here, but it's on my iPad as well. The Glendronach 18-year-old Allardyce. Okay, that's what's in my glass right here. I poured myself a little dram before I started the video. Okay, I left a little bit for the whiskey of the year reveal. Otherwise, it would have all been gone. But that's my number 1 whiskey of the year. I want to thank my subscribers from day 1. You guys have been awesome. All right, this channel ended up in 1 year being a lot bigger than I expected. I'm humbled. I'm thankful. You guys are all awesome. If you like this video and this is the first time you're watching my videos, subscribe below. I also have Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. On Instagram, I'm at Whisky in the 6. On Twitter, I'm at Whisky_in_the_6. And on Facebook, I'm Rob Reviews. I have a whole bunch of awesome things coming up in the new year. Happy New Year to you all. Gonna start off the year with the Macallan Edition number 2. I plan on doing a whole bunch of 17-year-old whiskey in 2017. Craig Olacki, 17-year-old, not sure if I butchered that name, but I might have. Ben Riek, single cask, 17-year-old. And I plan to pick up a bottle of Balvenie, 17-year-old, but not here because it's way too expensive here, so hopefully in the States, as well as Macallan, 17-year-old. Possibly a Glenfarclas, 17-year-old. That'll be for the whole year. But to all of you, Happy New Year. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.